Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to the March 8th meeting of the Boston Art Commission. My name is Karen Goodfellow, and I'm the Director of Public Art in the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture. And in that capacity, I'm also the Director of the Boston Art Commission. In accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, we are conducting this meeting virtually. To ensure public access to the deliberations of the BAC, the public can join this meeting through telephone and video conferencing. For those of you with us today, this meeting is being recorded and closed captioning is available. You can access it at the bottom of the screen. If you have trouble locating the button, please chat us for assistance. I also ask that everyone update your name and pronouns and to please keep yourself muted. Artworks proposed for the City of Boston property are reviewed at public meetings of the Boston Art Commission. The BAC is the commission body for the City of Boston, working together with the public art team in the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture. The BAC is an independent board composed of 2 ex officio and 7 appointed volunteer art and design professionals that holds public meetings to review, discuss, and vote on matters concerning the city's art collection. The BAC has exclusive authority to approve and commission artworks intended to be added to the city's collection or placed on City of Boston property. The Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture and the Boston Art Commission believe that public art is any artwork installed in publicly accessible spaces where they can be experienced by everyone for free. We engage in discussions about public art in Boston in order to foster the creation and collection of artworks that reflect the people, ideas, histories, and futures of Boston, which is on the traditional homeland of the Massachusetts, as well as the Wampanoag and Nipmuc peoples. We also recognize the Indigenous peoples represented in the city's residents, in addition to those in the diaspora. Our meetings are generally held the second Tuesday of each month to review current public art projects cited on or proposed for City of Boston property, and we hope you'll continue to join us. The Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture has a dedicated public art team that manages all daily operations and duties related to public art projects cited on or proposed for City of Boston property. This team facilitates the Boston Art Commission's monthly public meetings like today and manages all phases of Boston's public art projects in collaboration with the Boston Art Commission, community members, and colleagues at the City of Boston. We're joined today by the public art team, Sarah Rodrigo, Senior Public Art Project Manager, Trisha Gilrain, Collections Manager, and also by Liza Quinones, Public Art Mural Consultant. Thanks. With that, I'll pass to Mark. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks, Karen. Welcome, everyone. I'm Mark Pasnick, the chair of the Boston Art Commission. I'm calling this public hearing to order at 4:43 p.m. Today, the Boston Art Commission will be holding its monthly public meeting. I will now take the roll call of commissioners to confirm a quorum. After I state your name, commissioners, please say here. I'll begin with Vice Chair Aqua Holmes.
Here.
Camilo Alvarez.
Here.
John Andrus. Not here. Michael Canizzo.
Here.
Sarah Elliott Ortega. She's also not here. Robert Freeman.
Here.
Brian Hone.
Here.
And Kim Pinder. Okay, so we're missing a few people, but we still have a quorum for today's meeting. We will now review the meeting minutes from the previous February meeting of the Boston Art Commission. Are there any comments or modifications any commissioner would like to make at this time? Hearing no comments, I will see, is there a motion on the table to accept the minutes?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the minutes of the February 15th meeting of the Boston Art Commission.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Camilo. So I will take the roll call again. If you are in favor of the motion, please say yes. Aqua?
Yes.
Camilo?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
and Brian.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm a yes as well, so the motion passes. Thank you, everyone.
So on this side, you will see the agenda that we'll be following today. The agendas for these meetings are always posted publicly on the city's website, boston.gov. We'll begin with the director's report and then move on to presentations for review. Before we begin the presentations, we will provide you with information about how you can participate. So we'll now have our director's report. Karen, on to you.
Thank you. So we have one presentation for review today. It's an exciting one. We have an artist recommendation for a mural at the wall of the Shelbourne BCYF in Malcolm X Park in Roxbury. And that's being proposed by the City of Boston as part of the Transformative Public Art Program. And we'll have Liza present that to us a little bit later in the meeting. As we make our way out of winter and enter a new season of calls and installations, we thought we would take a moment to note and celebrate the good work we accomplished in 2021. So we're going to take a little time and just do a very brief overview, and then we'll get into the presentation of the artist recommendation. With the vision and commitment of many incredible artists, countless community members, the Boston Art Commission, the public art team, and everyone else in the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture, as well as many other generous partners at and around the City of Boston, we were able to see much more public art come to the city. Collectively, we're able to continue over the course of the year and bring new public art to Boston and start conversations about upcoming pieces. On this slide, we'll see long-term projects that have reached various milestones in 2021, and you can see each project listed over to the left, and you can see them making progress through the different stages that we work with them on at the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture and Boston Art Commission. So in the orange bars, you'll see city-initiated projects, and the pink ones are either community-initiated or collaborative projects between city and community. And as they make their way through, we see them all coming all the way into final installation and final acceptance. And I'd like to highlight some of these long-term public art projects that have made progress in 2021. On this slide, you'll see some images of these public artworks that made it to final design review, so all very familiar, and are now in fabrication or in the process of installation. Here you'll see a rendering of The Creative by Ben Olmsted and Simon Donovan, also for the Boston Arts Academy, which is in fabrication. You'll also see one of the mosaics for Unus Mundus by Monica Bravo for the East Boston Police Station, which is being installed right now. We were actually just there this morning seeing it. And a design drawing for the shade canopies, one of several elements of Play 23 by the Play team for the DeWitt Playground at Madison Park Athletic Complex, which received final design approval in December. And finally, a rendering of Memory Diffusion by Masari Studios for the Boston Arts Academy in Fenway, which is currently in fabrication. In 2021, the city installed 8 long-term artworks. 3 were through the Transformative Public Art Program, which we'll highlight on a later slide. In the lower left, we have ROXBURY by Joe Wardwell with Nakia Hill and the 826 Boston YLab Writers, which was installed at the Roxbury branch of the Boston Public Library. And the above 2 images on the left are With and Web by Matthew Hintzman, which was installed at the Jamaica Plain branch of the BPL and Curtis Hall, BCYF campus. And then we have three murals on the right side, which you can see at City Hall at our elevator lobbies. These artworks are by Lily Shee and Crystal B. Wagner, Maya Erdely, and Destiny Palmer. And those are on the 7th, 8th, and 9th floors of City Hall. Our city-initiated long-term commissions included 10 mural projects, calls to artists released as part of the Transformative Public Art Program. And here you see some examples of projects that were installed. We have an installation by Ms. Akar called Together, and at the Engagement Center in Newmarket, also at the Engagement Center, in a series of murals by Alex Cook entitled You Are Loved. And then we have a mural installation by Cyril Conan at the Patricia White Apartments in Brighton. We also have worked with many community members to bring long-term public art projects to fruition. And it is really through the dedication of these community-initiated projects that we're seeing some really incredible memorials come into being, and to really fill out the story we're telling of the city of Boston. One that's incredibly notable and exciting is the Embrace by Hank Willis Thomas. The city released a call to artists for a memorial to the Kings some years ago, and we are in the process of fabrication for that piece right now, and in touch with the team and still working with them on some of the details. But we're really excited and looking forward to a groundbreaking in the near future. Another community-initiated project with city partnership is the Coconut Grove Memorial, which received approval for artist selection in 2021. Recite's proposal titled Emergent Memory can be seen on the right. And Douglas Plaza, or the Legacy of Frederick Douglass and Douglas Plaza, is a new public green space in Roxbury, which will be home of an artwork that we've been really looking forward to for many years now, a sculpture that is after a drawing by Paul Goodnight and is being fabricated and sculpted by Mario Chiodo. And we are working with Sasaki and the Public Works Department on the development of the plaza now, and really looking forward to seeing this project come to fruition in the near future. Another community-initiated project that moved considerably forward in the last year is the Justice Edward O. Gourdine and African American Veterans Memorial. And this project received final design approval for its phase 2 section in 2021 from the BAC. And this is a project by artist Fern Cunningham, who did the main figurative sculpture, and includes 10 bas-reliefs by Karen Udemy. And the memorial broke ground on October 11th, 2021, and the artworks are currently in fabrication. And I think a particular note here too is the importance of Fern Cunningham's contributions to the city of Boston and our public artworks. And we hope, I'll note in the future, going forward, to invest in particular in the maintenance and restoration of her artworks across the city and find ways to celebrate those in honor of everything she gave to us. There were also 6 community-initiated long-term projects that were installed as part of the Seawalls project, which was proposed by Pangea Seed and Harbor Arts. It included 6 murals at schools and playgrounds in East Boston. And pictured here is Espiritu del Mar by Market 27, and another work by Nneka Jones at the McKay School. The city also commissioned short-term public art projects through the Paint Box program in collaboration with the Boston Transportation Department. And in 2021, we received incredible response to our Paint Box call to artists. We received nearly 500 applications, and we funded and moved forward with 87 new artworks on utility boxes across the city. This program focuses on highlighting artists in their own neighborhoods, with an emphasis on assigning artists to boxes in areas that hold a special connection to them and increases the visibility of their work. And it's a great way for artists to enter the public art field. Continuing with short-term installations, the public art team also worked with community members on short-term proposals. In 2021, the BAC reviewed 15 community-initiated short-term public art projects. And on this slide, we see some of these projects, including Washing by Lily Shi, which was a video installation proposed by the Asian Community Development Corporation in Chinatown, Boston Uncornered by John West, and proposed by College Bound Dorchester, and What Do We Have in Common by Janet Swig, installed on the Boston Common and proposed by Now and There. Some other short-term installations that were developed through community and city partnerships were the Upham's Corner planter paintings by Tony Perez, proposed by Upham's Corner Health Center and BTD, the Oyster Catcher Street Mural by Felipe Ortiz, proposed by BTD and community partners, Wolf Square Street Mural in Roxbury with Napoleon Jones Henderson, and work by Anita Morrison Matra, proposed by BTD and the Boston Public Health Commission and the Partnership for Healthy Cities. And then finally, the Brighton Street Mural proposed by Brighton Main Streets and BTD. And as we look into 2022, or as we start 2022, we want to mention all the good work that we're already moving forward, and we won't go through all of these, but just, you know, we have calls coming up, we've released new calls, we are in the process of artist selection and contracting on a number of projects that we're really excited about. And in 2021, also many repairs, relocations, and reinstallations were completed for the existing collection. Annual maintenance and repairs were performed on 16 artworks in partnership with the Friends of the Public Garden and the Fenway Civic Association. 4 artworks were relocated or reinstalled, including the Beverly Pepper sculpture, Sudden Presence, and a Seroton by Megs Harries. And now that MOAC is working with a conservation house, Dr. Daedalus, our office has been able to perform a collections audit and will provide a roadmap to approach to the collection and thoughtfully conduct repairs and conservation in 2022. We also are launching our database, and with which we'll be able to track public art and have a public-facing component through a website. It's going to be accessible through boston.gov, but we're calling it ArtSite. This work will be happening this spring and summer. We're currently in the process of selecting a photographer to work with us to get great images of all the artwork across the city out. The public-facing component will also include a wayfinding element so that the public can, in addition to exploring artworks virtually, create maps of public art and tours and visit the sites in person. The public we're working now also to build the capacity to share, for the public to share images of their own artworks on the site as well. So that's in process. And you can also see here on the right some images of artworks that have become part of the collection that we spoke about before. So these are artworks that will be becoming part of the collection as we go forward. Lastly, we just wanted to thank many of you. There are many artists, community members, and city staff and departments we're grateful for, in particular, newly appointed commissioners, John Andress, Brian Hone, Robert Freeman, and Kimberly Pinder, who joined the commission during the 2022 years of transition for public meetings to their current virtual version. And just want to note that this was, a challenging time to join the commission, and express thanks for you for being here, in addition to all the commissioners who have been with us from before and stayed with us. We're grateful for your work and for the entire commission's dedication to arts during this time. And we'd also like to thank Jess Kami, who assisted in the building of the data sets for the public art database. And we'd like to thank Josh Crane of Daedalus, our conservation house doctor, Althea Rupo, a Northeastern PhD candidate who interned with MOAC this past spring and assisted with the editing of our policy document, Lisa Tung, former BAC commissioner who stepped down in 2021, Liza Quinones, mural consultant working in MOAC with multiple 2021 transformative public art projects, and Lala Shanks, consultant for the mural to celebrate the life and legacy of Rita Hester. And with that, that's just a very brief overview. We had hoped to do this, at the end of 2021, but there was a lot going on, and then we canceled the meeting, and we had a moment today. So we're hoping to make this maybe more of an annual thing. So we can think about ways that we can present this kind of information to you again, and also maybe publicly, and find ways to share out a lot of the good work that we see come through us. And so we just have a few updates on projects like usual. On community initiated commissions, we are actively working on licensing questions so that we can finalize the MOU with the Boston Foundation for the Embrace, which is in fabrication, and the installation is scheduled for the future, but we are looking forward to getting this wrapped up well in advance of that. Boston Parks and Recreation Department's renovation of the Justice Edward O. Gordine Veterans Memorial in Nubian Square broke ground in October, as we mentioned earlier, and the project is well underway, and we're expecting completion of the project in the fall. The legacy of Frederick Douglass is reaching the midpoint of fabrication, and the design and bid process for the associated Plaza project is in process. The Frederick Douglass Sculpture Committee, Sasaki Associates, Public Works Department, GPI, and Brown Row had another meeting last week and look forward to the RFP for the construction project to be released later this spring. We've included recent images of the artwork by Mario Chiodo after drawings by Paul Goodnight. The bronze casting is scheduled to begin later this month. The commissioning agreement with Boccaccio Sculpture Services for the fabrication and installation of Bookmarked by Stu Schechter has been signed, and the city contract documents are in process. Of Many Minds by Michael Alfano, commissioned by the Navy Yard Association and approved by the commission last month, will be installed in the Charlestown Navy Yard in June. And long-term city-initiated public art projects. We don't have any dedication scheduled right now, but we have an installation in progress this week. Unus Mundus by Monica Bravo for the East Boston Police Station is being installed by BRM Productions and Franz Meyer of Munich under the artist supervision right now. You can see images we took this morning from the installation on the right. And 3 projects are in fabrication. Memory Diffusion by Masari at BAA, and the created by Simon Donovan and Ben Olmsted, also at BAA. Final design for Play 26 for the Do It Playground is in fabrication and installation. They're finalizing their fabrication installation. And other projects in final design include a number of transformative mural projects that we'll present you in the coming months, and also Jeremy Sobek Harrison's artwork for the Roxbury branch of the Boston Public Library, and Christina Perenua and Amontage's updated design for Hyde Square. The contract with Priscilla de Cavallo for the Adams branch of the Boston Public Library has been executed, and we're kicking that project off with library staff. 3 other projects are in preliminary design, both artworks for the Vine Street BCYF and the Ruggles Corridor, integrated artworks by Jenny Sabin. 3 projects are working through the contracting phase. The 3rd project for the Roxbury branch, the new unincorporated partnership between Lamerchi Fraser and Ralph Helmick for Engine 42, and Rixie Fernandez for the mural celebrating the life and legacy of Rita Hester. We're in the artist selection process for the Engine 17 public art project in Dorchester, 2 short-term projects on City Hall Plaza, and for a photographer to document the collection, as I mentioned earlier. Our one presentation tonight is for the artist for one of the sites at Malcolm X Park, which was released last year as part of the Transformative Public Art Program. We don't have any calls open at the moment, but we'll be releasing a call for artists for the basketball courts at Malcolm X Park later this month. Very briefly, collection projects, the Chinese Chess Plaza by May Sun will be reinstalled near the Chinatown Gateway area in April. The reinstallation is being led by MassDOT with close partnership with the artist. The artwork was originally installed in 2007. The Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture released a request for qualification for a 3D imaging photographer to further document the bronze figurative elements of Emancipation Group. And Josh Crane of Daedalus, our house doctor for conservation, has submitted his top candidates for conservation maintenance. We're finalizing the list and we'll be presenting them at our April meeting. Work will be planned for spring and summer 2022.
I think since we have a pretty compact meeting, maybe we can skip the break and just move forward this month.
Great.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, well, thank you, Karen, for a great recap and current report. We will now move on to items in the agenda for review, public testimony, and commission vote. There's one item tonight. Here's how you can, as members of the public, can participate in today's meeting. During the meeting, please keep yourself muted. If you have technical difficulties during the meeting, you can ask questions in the chat and a member of staff will help you. After presentations and our clarifying questions from the commission, Myself and Aqua may invite public testimony. If you would like to participate, you can press the raise your hand icon and staff will put you in a digital line for comment. You can also let staff know that you have a question in the chat. If you are calling in by phone, press *9 to raise your hand. Please remember to keep your comments on topic and brief.
So our goal is to make this meeting a good experience for all of us so that all community members feel comfortable sharing their feedback and questions. So please be mindful of and respectful of other people's time when speaking so that we all have time to make meaningful comments. You can always submit longer written testimony to bac@boston.gov. And while you may disagree with other attendees' testimony, please don't interrupt them during their allotted time. Keep questions and comments project specific. And if you are called upon, please state your name, title, program, and organization if applicable. So I believe Liza is going to be presenting on this, this proposal. So Liza.
Thank you, Ekwa, and good afternoon, everybody. I have the pleasure of being the only presentation tonight, so I'm happy to be here with all of you for that. So this opportunity was released as part of the Transformative Public Art, the Joy Agenda call that was released last summer. Malcolm X Park is undergoing renovations by the Parks Department. This project is the city's first equitable procurement project that has included many community meetings. At these community meetings, repeated requests were made to include public art in the project and to consider the rear wall of the Shelburne BCYF site, which faces into the park and which you can see on the right slide as the site for the mural. We are working with a community working group, the Central Office of Boston Centers for Youth and Family, the administrative coordinator of the Shelburne, Diane Galloway, and the Parks and Recreation Department. So for your review today, we have a recommendation from the working group for the Shelburne site to present tonight. 3 finalists were selected and interviewed, and I'll present each to you now. Later this month, we will be releasing a call to artists for 3 of the 4 basketball courts at the site. We had initially thought to include these as part of the first phase of artist selection, but after we visited the site and assessed the opportunity and reviewed them with both the working group and the finalists, we have decided to re-release this opportunity to be able to get the call out to artists who are excited to paint basketball courts. Court 1 will have an interactive math mural. That's the court that's all the way to the left. The artists who are finalists tonight will be able to reapply to the new call. And we hope that by providing more information and support for the court painting, we will get a more robust response from the local artist community. So as I mentioned, the working group selected 4 finalists to interview, but only 3 responded to our interview requests. The first of 3 artists is Rob ProBlack Gibbs. Rob ProBlack Gibbs is a visual artist and organizer who has transformed the cultural landscape of Boston through graffiti art since 1991. Growing up in Roxbury during the hip hop golden age, ProBlack saw the power of graffiti as a form of self-expression. Graffiti became a tool for him and for others in his community to chronicle and immortalize their culture and history. As the co-founder of Artists for Humanity, his submission proposed a large-scale mural that responds to this new world and the Joy Agenda's themes of joy, renewal, celebration, reconnection, and celebrating Boston's communities of color. After discussing the different artwork opportunities at Malcolm X Park, Rob expressed a strong desire and preference for him and his AFH Fellows team to create a Malcolm X legacy piece through a basketball court mural only. We will encourage him to reapply for the new call for art. The next artist interviewed was Barton Edwards. I'll read an excerpt from Barrington's proposal. I proposed an illustrated mural design on the thoughtful reflection of community members after listening to carefully chosen excerpts from writings and speeches that point to this version of Malcolm X's legacy and joy. I propose to project forward from his lifetime and imagining of his essence being with us this whole time as we have endured growth and change with love and joy. As a resident of Boston and a frequent visitor of Malcolm X Park, I have absorbed the love and vibrancy of Roxbury every summer from the activity and life in the park. This is a perfect place to combine the voices of the people who will persist and make a life in Roxbury with the most iconic voice to walk these avenues. Next slide, please. And the third artist that we interviewed is Geogo5 Ortega. He wrote, as a native Bostonian, any mural I am a part of will have a connection to the communities. The Malcolm X Park is one of those spaces in the community where at any given time, you will see events celebrating family pride and culture of the Black community. I would like to capture that and the activism that comes from neighborhoods like Dorchester and Roxbury. Over the past few months, our team convened a working group of 7 community members composed of Roxbury-based artists, activists, residents, Malcolm X family members, and frequent park users. While all 3 artists were strong choices, the working group recommends Geogo5 Ortega for the commission for the Shelburne Wall, based on a combination of his experience with painting large-scale murals, demonstrated skill sets in composition, portrait style, final execution, overall artistry, and his connection to the Roxbury community. Again, we will encourage all the other finalists to apply for the Malcolm X Courts and look forward to receiving and reviewing the applications for that project as well.
Thank you very much, Liza, for that presentation. Let me open it up to any questions from commissioners or comments on the selection process.
I have a question only because I was a little unsure as to where Rob ProBlack was on this. And I think you indicated that he was going to be re-invited into the process. Is he no longer in the process? Does that mean?
That's correct. For this Shelburne Wall, he is no longer part of this process, but he will be re-invited to reapply for the basketball court mural call for artists that we'll be releasing in a few weeks, as he expressed his sole interest in doing a basketball court mural.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That's great news. That sounds like a win-win to me, that you have a great artist that you've selected and also another very talented artist who's interested in our next call. Other comments from commissioners or questions?
Here's a somewhat question that I have about the basketball courts. I know we're not voting on that right now, but is there any guidance about what can and cannot work on a basketball court, since there is a specific game being played? And I'm not a huge basketball person, but the lines, and is there any guidance around visibility of those lines that are on the court?
Yes, Ekwa, that's a great question. And I was able to do just a bit of research on it, and different from using, typical acrylic or house paint, there is a specific type of stain that would be used on the surface of the courts, which we would provide as guidance for the artists as well. And part of my recommendation for the upcoming call is to also write in some opportunity for technical assistance for the artists who are chosen for that project to workshop or get guidance from other artists who have experienced painting basketball court murals. There was quite a bit of information there about how to preserve the lines as well. You know, anything from sort of taping up the lines in advance, painting over it, and taking the tape off so that there isn't too much math involved after the fact. But yes, there are certainly different ways that we can provide guidance for the artists for that project.
Thank you so much. I have to just share this story that one of my jobs as an artist over the year was repainting the lines on a basketball court, about which I knew absolutely nothing, but I still got it done. It's just amazing all the things that artists are asked to do. But so I have a particular interest in what the real rules are. Thank you, Liza.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions or comments? If none, I will open it up to see if there's any public comments. Members of the public, you can raise your hands and we'll let you have a moment to speak. I'm not seeing any hands raised either, so I would suggest we entertain a motion on the floor. Would somebody like to make a motion? I think in this case, the motion would be to accept the recommendations for Geogo5 Ortega as the artist.
I can make that motion. So I would make a motion to accept the recommendation of Geogo5 Ortega for the mural at Malcolm X Park.
Great, thank you, Brian.
I'll second that.
Second, okay, thank you, Aqua, for a second. So I'll read off the roll call, and if you're in favor of the motion, please say yes. Aqua,
Yes.
Camilo,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. So the motion passes. Thank you, Liza, for your help here, and also please extend our enthusiastic congratulations to the artist. We look forward to working with.
Will do. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. I believe that that's our only item tonight. So our next motion will be a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Have a second?
Excuse me, can I have a second of your time before you adjourn? I have a little problem with my computer here. This is Alan Banks. Hold on. You can
Sure.
so you can actually see me. I don't know if any.
I think we're losing your.
Oh, he's frozen.
We've lost your. Maybe turn off your screen so that you're. It seems like you might have bad internet connection.
And trying to, drum up.
Alan, we lost you there. So maybe turn off your screen so that we're just hearing your voice.
Okay, let's try that.
Maybe a bad internet connection.
Is this any better?
Yes, we can hear
okay.
you.
Okay, again, I don't know if any of you received the document I sent. Well, basically, my name is Alan Banks, and for 30 years, I was a National Park Service ranger at the Olmsted National Historic Site. And as part of my duties, it was doing interpretive talks and walks, in this case of the Back Bay Fens. And I always stopped at the Clemente Memorial, which is right by the track there, because Clemente was kind of a personal hero of mine. And this year is the 50th anniversary of his death while delivering supplies to earthquake victims in Nicaragua. And, again, my basic message was if there's a possibility of trying to get that memorial cleaned up and perhaps even reoriented. It was put in 1976 before that whole field was done over. So my main question is, what is the mechanism for somebody to have a piece of, in this case, a memorial, it's like a stele with a bas relief on it, to at the minimum get it cleaned or truthfully, I think where it is now was put in again 30-something years ago. It would probably be best served to be put in another spot near there by the basketball courts. If any of you know the Back Bay Fens, there's 2 baseball fields, and there's a baseball field that's right next to a basketball court, which gets a lot of use. So I'm just trying to figure out how to kind of get this done. Edwin Alicia from the Puerto Rican Festival, the president, is all on board with trying to find out about how we might be able to do something to at the minimum clean it, and in the best of all worlds to actually have it move to a much more prominent spot, and perhaps even have some language nearby to explain who Clemente was, because I think if you're over 50, if you're under 50, you might not remember what an important person he was, both as a baseball player, but really as a civil rights leader.
Okay, thank you, Alan, for reaching out. Karen, do you want to address that? And I see
Yeah.
we have another hand up as well, so.
Sorry, one second. Yes, so, hi, Alan, I'm Karen Goodfellow. You have been in touch with our office, and I think you got a response from us maybe a week or 2 ago.
About a week, last week I got a post.
Yeah, sure. So our follow-up, just to keep everyone in the loop, is that we received your email and gave a little bit of information about the work that we're doing, working closely with Fenway Civic Association, as well as an art conservator. And I think, Alan, I think you've been in the meeting, you heard a little bit about the work we've been doing with Daedalus to do an audit of the full collection this year.
Right.
And my colleague Tricia Gilrain is here and heads our work in this area. So we've been conducting a full assessment of all the artworks under care of the BAC, and really appreciate folks like you who, you know, speak up for works like this one and help focus our attention on them. So this summer, we'll begin working on the pieces most in need. And again, that audit was done by a professional conservator. This is the first time we're doing this, and we will be continuing this kind of work for the whole collection. There are a lot of pieces that need attention. We're going to be working on the ones that are most in need first. Tricia probably ask you to speak about this piece and where we're seeing it fall in that, but basically what the process is us doing this general audit overall, trying to figure out for ourselves which ones we think need the most, you know, attention right now, and also listening to folks like yourself and other members of the community who advocate for pieces that we need to pay more attention to. And so we really do see it as sort of a collaborative process of us trying to figure out the pieces most in need and hearing from you what we might be missing. Trisha, I don't know if there's anything you'll want to add to that in terms of where we are here, and if you were able to talk about this piece with Josh at Daedalus at all.
Yeah, thanks, Karen. So I haven't spoken with Josh about this particular piece yet, but we are in the process, as Karen has said, about doing this audit. So we do want to consider all of the pieces in the art collection that the care and repair is under our purview. And like Karen mentioned, we definitely want to have conversations with community members as we look at the locations for the items most in need. I'm hoping that in the coming months, we'll be able to report out on why we are looking at certain kinds of pieces of art from our professional conservators' vantage point, and also, you know, add the community's vantage point as well.
Okay, so, well, the only reason I'm bringing it up now, truthfully, even though I would still think that it would need some work, is that, again, this is timely because this is the 50th anniversary of his death. And so that's, you know, again, if it was any other year except for this year, I would say, okay, you know, so it is a little bit timely. And I should mention, I did contact Ryan Woods over at Boston Parks and Rec. And I don't know where you guys overlap, but he was going to send his chief of maintenance over there to take a look, Leon Boucher. But I guess I mean, who would actually?
Yeah, so we would want a professional conservator to do that work.
Okay.
Just for the sort of well-being of the artwork.
Yep.
But we do work very closely with parks. Obviously, we work very closely with lots of city departments. We have, you know, many artworks across the city, and they're all on property cared for by a different department. So it's a lot of collaboration and communication there. So we can circle back with them as well and let them know that we're looking at this. And we hear you on the timeliness, and we will take that into account as we do continue our work. And as you heard us mention before, we're going to come back to this group and to the public with where we are on our audit and the plans we have to work on different artworks across the city.
Any idea when that audit would be complete and you'd kind of have to get a sense for the direction you'll be going?
I think Tricia are we looking at April, right?
Yes, we're looking at April.
Oh, okay, so it's not that far
Yeah,
away.
no, and I mean, and I don't feel like we can't make any commitments here. We are working with a professional conservator to guide us here, but we will, bring this into that conversation, and we'll circle back at our next meeting.
And I completely understand. I work for the National Park Service, so I understand the idea with a scrub brush and bleach that you have to, again, be very careful with these things. But again, I just wanted to get it on your radar screen. Again, I'm working with other groups. I'm sure you might have worked with the Emerald Necklace Conservancy before.
Oh, yeah.
With many, since they were established back in '96. I'm getting old. But but anyways, so what would you suggest that I do? Just waiting for this audit to come out and recontact you folks to see where it's at? Or
I mean, I think you can keep in touch the way you have over email.
Okay.
And then, yeah, we can continue this conversation next month. I mean, we have these meetings in this manner, so we can have these conversations. So please, if you have the time and capacity, we would love if you could keep talking to us about it. But the public art team on staff at the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture can also keep in touch with you. In particular, Tricia will, as we move through this work.
that would be much appreciated. As I said in my document, at a time when memorials to people can be very divisive, here's a person who, put himself out there and lost his life trying to help other people. So I think it's, again, an important person to kind of highlight nowadays.
Great. Well, thank you, Alan, very much for bringing this to our attention last week and also in the meeting today. It's great to have people who want to be stewards of our amazing collection of art. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Our next question, Richard Heath, you have your hand raised?
I do. I'd like to know the status of the Emancipation Group, and I'd also like to know the status and reuse of the pedestal.
So the update we had today on the Emancipation Group was that we are looking for someone to do the 3D imaging that the Art Commission requested we do when they voted for the artworks removal of the bronze section. We have looked into possibilities of loaning the artwork. We are still working on that with our legal team. Possibilities, and we will be coming forward to the Art Commission with any possibilities. I know we've given some updates at previous meetings. We don't have any updates on that today, but it's possible we might have some in April again. So Richard, I think we might be able to come back to you also with more updates in April on that. And we don't have any updates on the plinth. We have looked at it as possibility for a site for new artworks, but we don't have any updates on that right now.
Pardon me, you're re-imaging the statue?
We're taking, and I'm probably not the best one to describe it, we're taking 3D imaging of it.
For the archives?
It's being
Yeah,
scanned
for
the
documentation.
archives. Yeah, that was one of our requirements as a commission as part of this process. So it's recorded as an element.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Richard. Any other comments from the public before we move to potentially adjourn? Okay, seeing no comments. Maybe we already had a motion? Did somebody make a motion to adjourn? Bob, you did, right?
I made a motion. Yeah.
Would like to remake that motion?
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you, Camilo. So I'll read down the list. Aqua,
Yes.
Camilo,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. So the motion passes. We are formally adjourned. Thank you, everybody. And thanks to the members of the public who joined us today and made some comments and help us think about our collection.